apologizes. So sorry, Cassie. Sorry, Cassie's family. And they had every intention of going and committing more murders after that because they didn't know who was going to be with Cassie. Maybe she was going to have some friends over.
Yeah, and they were going to kill
They were going to kill everybody. And they might even go searching for more friends to kill after that because they were pretty much assuming that they were going to do it so well that they were just going to go find more people to kill that night. So Brian Draper also says on one of the tapes, as long as you're patient, and we are patient, and now we're getting paid off because our victim's home alone. So we got her. Our plan worked out. I'm sorry, Cassie's family, but she has to be the one. We have to stick with the plan. And she's perfect, so she's going to die. And then he just laughs about it. Talks about how she's the perfect victim, and they're going to kill her. And sorry, family. What a sicko. Also, in one transcript, Brian Draper says, I feel like I want to kill somebody. I know that's not normal, but what the hell? And then in another one, he says, we'll find out if she has friends over. If she's going to be alone in a big dark house out in the middle of nowhere. How perfect can you get? And Tori Adamczyk actually says, I'm horny just thinking about it. Sick.
Yeah.
They find a pair of black boots, a pair of blue rubber gloves, a pair of Athletic Works brand fingerless gloves, a melted brown hydrogen peroxide bottle, probably from trying to burn it, I don't know, a multicolored mask, a large dagger-type knife with a sheath, which sounds horribly scary to me, a silver and black-handled knife with a signature of Sloan written on the inside. I don't know what that's about. Another small dagger-type knife with a sheath. So they have multiple knives in this pile. Also a Sony videotape. This is the videotape that was later repaired and straightened in order to make it playable. So they had tried to destroy it. Not good enough. A black-handled serrated folding knife. Later, DNA testing revealed that Stoddart's blood was present on that knife. So that was one of the knives that was used on her. A partly burned piece of paper with writing in pencil. A red and white mask. Later DNA testing revealed a partial DNA profile of Adamczyk on that mask, so that was the one that he was wearing. A single black glove, a pair of partially burned black Puma brand gloves, and that actually revealed through DNA testing that Stoddart's blood had been soaked into those gloves. A blue plastic garbage bag, and a partially burned black long-sleeved dress shirt, a Calvin Klein black dress shirt. So they also did some DNA testing on that one, and it revealed that Stoddart's blood was present on the shirt cuff. A white and gray sock, and a small piece of black cord. So they basically had like a whole kit. On one of the tapes, they were making what they called a death list, like making a whole to-do plan on tape with it. So Brian and Tori are arrested, and it's only 5 days after the murder, so it doesn't take long for police to realize that these two are the two. They're charged with first-degree murder. They're also both charged with conspiracy because this is also, so obvious that they were both conspiring to murder. So this begins a lot of blame shifting. So neither kid says, yes, I'm to blame, I'm accountable. They actually just keep blaming each other. So Brian says he was there, but he didn't do anything. He didn't stab Cassie. He also changes his story quite a few times. He's changed his story over and over, it seems like, saying that, okay, I did stab Cassie, but it was only because Tori made me do it. It was Tori's fault. I was scared. He made me do it. And basically, like, all this blame shifting just makes them seem like even more gross to me because neither one of them will actually man up to it and say, yes, I did it. They're both found guilty, thank God, and convicted to a life sentence without the possibility of parole. They are both in the Idaho State of Corrections facility. They are not only sentenced to that without a possibility of parole, on top of that sentence, they get 30 years to life for the conspiracy charge. So Brian has since appealed it, basically saying that he was only 16. He was very young. He didn't know what he was doing. He was very easily convinced to do these things, and he would have never done them otherwise. Which, yes, you would have. You were on tape, literally saying that this is what you wanted to do. So, yeah.
That didn't work out too well.
Right. So he was able to have the conviction for conspiracy overturned, which I don't like because they did it. But the murder conviction still stands, so he will still hopefully spend his life in prison. Tory also still maintains his innocence, and he's also filed appeals to have his sentence reduced. I listened to an interview where his parents were in on the interview, and I have to tell you, Tory's parents, I understand that you're going to stand beside your kid, and you're always going to think wonderful thoughts about your child, but at some point you've got to realize that this kid has done something wrong. The parents just don't. They do not feel like he should be held accountable. They didn't even let him speak much on this interview that I listened to. And it was pretty sickening how they were standing up for him. And at one point they were saying like, well, this must be so hard for you knowing that you're innocent and having to go through all of this. So they basically maintain his innocence for him as well. So nobody's really taken any accountability in any of this, which is gross. The case of Miller versus Alabama has actually since decided that mandatory life sentences without parole for juveniles can be unconstitutional. So there is a chance that this case could possibly be reviewed at some point. So far that hasn't happened, but that could actually happen in the future.
How old are they now?
This has happened in 2006, so I mean, this has been 15 years. So they are
about 30-ish.
30-ish now, yeah. So who knows? It could be reviewed at some point, but hopefully it does not get reviewed. I don't know. So the repercussions for poor Cassie's family, they've had to deal with this for now 15 years since this. Allison, as we know, Frank and Allison were the aunt and uncle. Allison has suffered from depression since this. She lost her job. Frank at one time had to work 2 jobs. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but he was working 2 jobs to keep up. Their 13-year-old daughter, who unfortunately found Cassie, later attempted suicide, which I can't even imagine having to go through that. And the guilt that they would feel, not that it's warranted, but I mean, you would definitely feel it anyway. So they tried to put their house up for sale after this incident. They couldn't even go back in the house. And for a period of time, the police department actually got them a hotel to stay in while they were investigating and trying to make the transition back home. But I can't even imagine having to go back in. They had kept putting it up for sale. It would not sell. So, I mean, Pocatello is pretty small, and so people knew the area and they knew what had happened there, and it didn't seem like anybody would buy this house. So it finally did sell in 2015, so hopefully after that the family was able to get some relief getting out of there.
A long time after, though.
It's a long time. 9 years. Yeah. So the family afterwards sues the school, which at first when I read that, I was like, why would you sue the school? It's not the school's fault. But let me tell you why they did that. So they actually believe that it could have been stopped. Maybe something could have been reported, something could have prevented it in some way. And they believe that the school should have done more or been able to avoid it somehow, which again, I thought was pretty absurd when I first read it, but I don't know. Let me see what you think after I read you this. So the boys during their classes were actually speaking of it. They were speaking of their plans during their classes. They were making the videos and recording the videos of their plans to kill while they were in class. And they were pretty sure that at some point one of the teachers should have been able to know about this plan. So that's why they had sued the school, which I'm still not convinced on, but after hearing that, it made it a little more of understandable to me. So during one of the videos, they're actually right in the middle of class, and it states, I'm sorry, Cassie's family, but it has to be done. This is the one where they're saying she's perfect, she's gonna die. That's the one they recorded while they're in the middle of class. So again, it's pretty covered up as like they're trying to be away from people, but I mean, did people actually know this was going to happen? So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it probably could have been stopped.
I feel like it could have been stopped. It could have been avoided. And the kids actually, after they were interviewed, said, yeah, they talked about killing people. They talked about who would be their victims in their horror films. They talked about it in a context of, we're going to make a film, and this is going to be our first victim, our second victim, things like that. But they were talking about it in a context of, these are the people that are going to be in our films. Mm-hmm. And so they were taking it as they wanted to be movie makers, and this wasn't a real life scenario. Mm-hmm. So I also feel like, I mean, I can understand that side of it. So guilt, though, sucks. And when we look back at things, we can always determine that things could have been done better. So it's hard to say. But yeah, definitely a horrible story.
Yeah, that's dark.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really talk about stories that are fun.
So their motive was just to do it for fun? No?
Their motive was just to get their feet wet, and they were going to become serial killers.
I guess Cassie had never done anything to them?
No. Cassie had never done anything. That's what makes this story so hideous. Cassie had not done anything but be a friend to them. Yeah.
And did Matt ever say anything after, or no?
Matt basically, I think, has gone on to live his life, but no. I mean, he was devastated by it and was horribly sad afterwards, but no. And he was, imagine having the feeling of, I spent the night at your house after you completely betrayed me and killed my girlfriend.
Yeah, that breaks some order of bro code right there.
Yeah, that's definitely bro code broken. So, yeah, they are horrible people for sure.
That's terrible.
And they were striving to be horrible people. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So definitely we can all do better than that. So what else do you think?
That was a good one this week.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. I mean, good in the context of terrible, right? But so in honor of Pocatello, that was the one Pocatello story that stood out among all of them. There, like I said, there are some creepy stories from Pocatello High. So if anybody out there knows any stories from Pocatello High that are real life stories that you've been through, I would love to hear them. So definitely write us those at sinisterstoryhour@gmail.com or find us on Instagram. We are well over 1,200 Instagram followers now. So definitely getting up there. So follow us on Instagram, Sinister Story Hour, and keep giving us those reviews, the 5-star reviews. We love those. So please keep those coming. So thank you for listening, and we hope you make better friends than Brian and Tori. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening, everybody. We will see you next time on Sinister Story Hour.